Hi, everybody. The Clutter Fairy Weekly is the webcast and podcast that digs deep into the clutter that piles up between you and the life that you want to be living. We explore the habits and behaviors that lead to clutter, and we suggest strategies to slow the accumulation, reduce the collection, and comfortably manage the stuff we decide to keep. In episode 162 of the Clutter Fairy Weekly, I'm Gayle Goddard, a professional organizer and owner of the Clutter Fairy in Houston, Texas, and we're going to shine some daylight into the neglected corners of your home and offer a list of simple tasks to kick off your spring cleaning regimen. Spring into action, or we're going to talk about small cleaning projects to refresh your home. So spring's in the northern hemisphere again, and it makes it warmer and long hours of sunshine and hopefully freshening your life and your possibilities. So let's take advantage of an early spring day to spring forward on some household organizing tasks. Use the raise hand feature if you want to talk. Of course, you can ask questions in the chat, and Karen Baker is going to manage the chat for us a little bit and watch for everything. And so just like normal, get in and make conversation. Anything you want to ask us, we're going to try to pick it up. We're going to start out like we always do with last week's Tittle and the follow-up to Don't Play That Game. The assignment was to de-tetrasize, one of our new verbs, a congested storage space to make it easier and less stressful to maintain. So we want to hear from all of you that are participating in Zoom. Thank you so much. Did anybody thin out a Tetris organized space this week or apply any of our suggestions to a storage space? Let us know in the comments. We did get a comment from a frequent contributor, Marshmallow. She shared her Tetris Tittle report. Marsh wrote, "Spices on a shelf over my head. I pulled them all out, and I'm still rethinking a lot of them. My first win was upfront and personal. Using my on-hand organic tray, I loaded it up with salt, pepper, lemon peels, saffron, curry, lime, garlic, parsley, and turmeric, the spices that I use the most. Easy peasy to pick out each one now. Thank you for this push, Gayle, Ed, and all." That is so great, Marshmallow. First of all, want to eat at your house because I love the spice list you have there. It sounds really awesome. I'm really proud of you for sticking with it and making so many improvements to your home. Each thing that you change makes your home more comfortable for you, and that's a wonderful outcome. Great job on the spices, and keep making your small changes until you feel complete with this project. I know that you have done work in all of the rooms in the house, and you made your way around in various places, and you're making all kinds of changes. So really, really proud of you for doing that. I know there was a few comments in there about Tetris. So.
Yeah, Connie says that she took out all sorts of garden stuff from under a bench and sorted old pots and containers.
That is a great, because I bet that bench is like, it's out there to keep everything dry, right? And so it was probably full, or the space underneath the bench was full. And so now you pulled it out and sorted it around. Good job. And just in time for spring cleaning, right? That's one of the suggested areas that I was going to talk about in terms of spring cleaning. So good for you. You're already working on today's topic.
Yeah. Tammy is purging papers and folders.
That's always a good one.
Working on the filing cabinet and some art stuff. Interesting. Marcy says that she went to help someone else Tetrasize some areas.
Oh, make Tetris or clean up the Tetris? That's the question.
Someone tried to do their fridge, but they had Easter dinner, so that kind of.
Oh, yeah, because then you were adding a bunch of food in order to do Easter dinner. Okay, well, so now you get to start again. It's time to do that one again. But you're happy with the rest. That's good.
Making Tetris.
Oh, you're making it fit. Oh, you didn't give them a lecture about Tetris?
Oh, they needed to make it presentable kind of quickly.
Oh, yeah.
That happens on holidays.
It does. Yeah, absolutely. Somebody's coming. Oh my God, I got to fix this, right? Oh, Penny says, I've been pulling beads. I never used them, plan to give them away. The beady chick, right? The beady chick is sending things out to the other beady chicks. You're going to have to offer it to all your friends first. Marcy says she did get rid of things though, and I practiced watching her throw stuff out, and I threw some out for her. Also, it was hard. Oh, well, you were practicing with everybody else's stuff, right? So that's good. You're practicing throwing out other people's stuff. It didn't count. It didn't disturb your house. It was just practice. So good for you. Everybody needs a little practice. Good for your friends, right? Okay, so we're going to talk about spring cleaning for a little bit. Spring cleaning is that extra season that happens right between winter and spring. After all the time spent indoors during the cold weather months, we get the urge to straighten things up and air them out. When the weather makes it feel like we can start moving around again instead of staying curled up on the couch under a blanket, our thoughts turn to spring cleaning. In case spring cleaning season has arrived in your neck of the woods, we've made a to-do list for you to help you get started on that. These are small targeted projects that you can handle in an afternoon, hopefully. These spaces likely got scrambled a bit over the winter, and now's a good time to refresh them. We'll put the list on the show notes so you can reference it anytime, but you might jot down a few of the list items as a reminder if they appeal to you as you hear them. And we've already talked about some of them, but here we go with our list. Let's start with the bathroom stash of lotions, potions, and makeup. We get this stuff as gifts a lot of times around Christmas. It's one of those things that's easy to pick up at department stores, is a gift set of lotions or perfume or makeup or whatever. And so we tend to get those as gifts. And then, of course, you buy and try new products all the time. And we bring things home from hotels. So there's 3 lifetimes of product in your bathroom right now that you can't possibly use all of it. And it's time to go through that pile and get it down to what you will actually use. And then offer the rest to a shelter, to your kids, to your friends, to your church. Someone can use up that volume and you don't have to store it all together. And it's perishable products, right? It's slowly dying where it's sitting. So better to pass it off to somebody who can use it now than you who cannot possibly use all of it at once. It's going to sit over there. It's going to sit in your house waiting for you to be able to use it and die. And so you don't need to be the keeper of it. You can send it on to somebody else. And it's better that it hasn't been opened. It's easier to donate it away if it hasn't been opened and it's a fresh product. Once something has been partially used, then you're gonna have to give it to your friends, because a shelter, for instance, won't be able to pass it on. Anybody sort of outside that you give it to, it's going to have to err on the side of caution and not use it if it's been open. So look through your lotions and potions and your makeup and pull out the things that have not been opened, that haven't been touched, and donate that excess first. And then if you have a lot of partially used products, then you got to, make another, here, I'm going to take this to the office and share it with my friends at the office, or I'm going to call my friends and see if anybody wants it, because it's not something that you can give away. Now, some people sell those partially used containers in garage sales and stuff, and people will buy them, but you're going to have a garage sale to make that happen. So if you just want to be able to clear it out and let it go, then either donate the fresh ones and give the used ones to your friends, is sort of where you're sitting. The next option to spring clean is to clear the floor of your closet. Just finding the floor makes it so much easier to do the bulk of the work with your clothes later. The whole closet is too big a job in most homes for a few hours, but the closet floor is a more contained population of things to clean. So you can think of it as stage 1 of cleaning the closet. And you're going to find dirty clothes down there, so put those in the hamper. Straighten up the shoes. Usually those are mostly stored down on the floor, so you can clean that up. Unpack any shopping bags, because this is when you bring in the shopping bag. You went shopping, you bought stuff, you threw it in the closet without unpacking it and forgot about it. So you're going to find shopping bags in there with stuff that you bought that never actually came out. So now's the time. You'll probably find some trash. If you take things to dry cleaners a lot, you're going to find a lot of dry cleaning trash in there. Basically put up all the things that you've thrown in there without putting them away. And that will uncover a bunch of the floor. Once you've cleared it, you can tackle what's on the clothing rods another day, but at least you'll be able to walk in there. And usually not being able to walk in the closet is the biggest barrier to starting that project. So clearing the floor is the beginning of being able to reset your whole closet, which is a great project. So let's think about, you've been collecting something in somewhere in the house. You've been collecting something and you've been putting it aside to share with a specific charity. Now's the perfect time to put that errand on your to-do list. If you collected grocery bags, plastic grocery bags so you can take them to the bag recycle bin at the grocery store, or you've been collecting travel body products for the women's shelter, or in Houston, people collect shoe boxes to make care packages for sailors at the ship channel at the Christmas time. All of those specific, I made a pile of fill in the blank over here in the corner because I'm going to give it to my friends, charity. I'm going to give it to the church. I'm going to give it to that specific program I have in mind. So you've been making that pile and not packing it up. And so I'm saying, as part of your spring cleaning project, now's the time to gather that collection, call it complete for the moment, and take it to its destination. It's a good way to remove a pile that's in the way, and gives you some cleared off space. And you can also evaluate your collection to see whether it makes sense. Maybe you thought you were going to collect for a huge volume for a specific project, and then maybe it turns out that what you collect isn't big enough, it isn't worth the effort, or maybe you collected and the project is already passed and you missed the opportunity to donate it to them. And so, grocery bags can always be recycled, but there's some other things that were specifically time sensitive projects that maybe you didn't quite get it done. So either evaluate the collection as no longer valid because the charity event has gone by, or it's time to collect the stuff and go about the business of delivering it. Make contact with the person you're supposed to deliver it to, find out where the drop-off point is, put it on your to-do list and make it happen. And you're going to feel really virtuous after you do this. So the next one is getting into the junk drawer in your kitchen. Now, the junk drawer is one of those things that when somebody's in the kitchen and they're trying to deal with clearing off the counter, it's crazy, it's busy, and like lots of people will pull out the junk drawer and everything they don't know what to do with, they'll just dump in the junk drawer. So after that's gone on for several months, the junk drawer is going to be really full and there's going to be a lot of crazy stuff in there, and it's all stuffed in, and the junk drawer is probably full. And it's really a small box. It's not that big. And so empty it and sort it, and it'll probably take you half an hour. And I bet there's tons of things that can hit the trash now, more things that can go to their regular home. And then you can containerize what actually needs to be there. Anytime I reorganize a junk drawer, half of it ends up in the trash. It's always an easy way to, it's an easy win to clear out the junk drawer and get something done in a short period of time. And you're going to find things in the junk drawer that are, I don't know what to do with this. I'm saving it because, but I don't know where it should go. So there's always going to be these unidentified little things in there. And that's fine if you want to keep a few of them. But if the drawer is filled to overflowing with, I don't know what to do with this stuff, it's probably time to let some of those things, go. And I just saw somebody go by saying they have a junk room instead of a junk drawer. Okay, so that just means you have a bigger pile of stuff to go through. It's a bigger project. So you may want to just start on a portion of the room, or start with a category of stuff if you want to do a junk room instead of a junk drawer. I tell people in junk rooms to start with the recycling and the trash, because there's usually lots of boxes in there for some reason that have one or two things in them. They're not completely full. And I'm saving this box because I bought this thing and I don't know if we're going to return it, that kind of stuff. And so a lot of the boxes have now aged appropriately and you can probably get rid of them. And so it's a good thing to go through a junk room and pull out trash and recycling first. And then you're left with other things to deal with. Next thing to deal with, time to check out your medicine cabinet and throw out what's expired beyond your sense of safety. So everybody has their own markers for this. Medicines always have expiration date. Some people feel comfortable stopping right there. Some people feel like, oh yeah, I can keep it longer than that. Or, oh yeah, this medicine is too valuable, I'm never throwing it away. So whatever your sense of safety is around expired medication, time to filter. And it does require a lot of attention to detail, but a medicine chest is really, it's another small box, exactly. And so it's very quick to go through that one usually. And you need the room for the current stuff. So let's get rid of everything that's old. You want to be able to put your current meds, your current over-the-counter stuff, your current prescriptions up there, and some other things like this is where the nail clippers are and the tweezers are, and this is where the eye drops are, and this is where the lip balms are, whatever those things are that you normally keep in there. If it's a big bottle of something, it probably shouldn't be in the medicine cabinet. But this is where you want to add a few containers, because the little shelf of a medicine cabinet is narrow and it's so easy to get stuff to fall out of. So just buying those, you can buy mesh versions or clear versions. They're little containers that are probably 2 inches tall. They might be 2 inches wide, and then they're long and narrow. And you can get, from the square all the way out to really long. And so having those little containers on the shelves in the medicine cabinet make it easier for you to manage the contents, so that when you touch something, it all doesn't fall out. That's one of the easy things to do there. I will say this, you might have been saving medicine as one of your collection projects to take to a specific place. If that's true and you're going through the medicine cabinet, then you can add to your collection of meds that need to be sent on their way. And then you can Google drug take back day, and that gets you to a government website that talks about when they have collection days. But it also shows you locations of pharmacies that permanently collect medicine to be expired medicine that's going to be disposed of. They permanently collect it all year long. So you can go and find a location near you that's collecting things all the time, and then make it one of your projects to go and deliver those medications to that location.
Anne is asking where to buy those containers you were talking about for your
there's a million of them. And I mean, I've seen little thin plastic ones at the dollar store. It's a standard kind of size. So anybody that has those products, IKEA, Container Store, Target, Walmart, they're all going to have some version of it. So all you're really looking for is the bottom is no more than 2 inches wide, maybe 2.5 inches, so that it fits in the medicine cabinet. And if you want to just go measure the shelf in the medicine cabinet to make sure you get the size that's right depth for you. But typically, if it's an installed medicine cabinet, it's going to be about 2 inches. And so those little containers, you can buy a set of 3 for, a couple of bucks, cheap little thin plastic ones, but you can also get ones made out of, mesh metal ones and clear see-through plastic ones. And everybody has some version of it. Anybody that has packaging or containers, you can go find something like that. And even if it's, it might be a square, that's the same on all sides, but then the sizes go out, adding a couple inches at a time. So you can get really long ones. You can get ones that are, 2 by 5, 2 by 4. So you can just get the variety of containers that you like, as long as they're 2 inches across the bottom. And then most of them are a couple of inches tall. They're not, super, super tall, which means that most things can stand up inside them or lay down inside them and not be knocked out. Most bottles will stand in it, and you can get things in and out without knocking stuff over, which is the big deal with medicine cabinets, right? Like you put something in there and then you go to grab something and 47 other things come down at the same time. So better to have the container to prevent that disaster. Let's talk about the linen closet. The linen closet, wherever you store blankets and sheets and pillows, that kind of stuff, those objects, folded up sheets, folded up blankets, big pillows, they're big and fluffy and bulky, and they take up a lot of room, but there's not very many of them in that. Because of the volume, it's not as many as you think. It's just big and fluffy stuff. So that really full linen closet is really a short job, because every individual content is using up so much space by itself. So it's time to match all those sets up again. Get rid of any sheets for beds you don't own. Like if you don't have a twin bed, you don't need twin sheets. I'm just saying. And this happens in families where the kids grow up and they grow through a couple of sizes of beds until they get to an adult bed. And then you end up with a whole bunch of sheets for beds that have long since left the house. So time to go through and get rid of those that you don't own. And, get rid of the stuff that's old, torn, scratchy, irritating, all those things all of the linens that you want to get rid of, you can take to a vet or donate to an animal shelter, because they will use them in shelter. and, donate a bunch of those blankets. I'm not sure why everybody has a million blankets, but you just don't need a million. Like, there's only so much, you can only put one blanket at a time on the bed. There's only so many blankets that are going to be in use, and you're certainly not going to use a whole lot of them. Really heavy ones, you're not going to use them in the summer. They're going to get put away. And so if you have a million extra blankets, it's time to pack them up and send them on to the shelter. And sort that closet out, because you're going to find it's a lot easier to get in and out of after you've reset everything. We talked about resetting. The linen closet's a great place to reset. What about magazines and catalogs? There's a big pile somewhere in the corner of your house. So spring cleaning is a perfect time to call them, specifically because there was a vast spike in the delivery of magazines and catalogs over the holidays, right? And so there was a million catalogs for people that were trying to get you to buy Christmas gifts, holiday gifts of some kind. And that pile gets super, super big. So now's the time to circle back. You're not going to order them the whole catalogs don't matter anymore. It's time to let them go. So go through, recycle. And if you need a process, go through the piles and sort them by date, and then pick a cutoff date and see if you can toss everything that's earlier than the cutoff. There's magazines that you have saved that you might be saving every issue forever, but maybe you can filter the rest for a reasonable cutoff date. And for catalogs, you just want the most recent one, because that's what's left for them to sell. If you have an old catalog, it's not likely that all the items in there are still available. So you always have to be working from a current catalog to know what is available to buy. And they send them constantly. You get one every week, every 3 days, every time you blink, another catalog from the same company shows up. So it's super easy to clear those out and let a whole bunch of old catalogs go. And that'll make that collection of magazines much, much smaller. While we're in the paper realm, do you have a box or a bag in a closet somewhere full of the old mail that you swept off the counter? How many of you done that? We do it. Oh my God, my family's coming and Easter was here. Oh my God, somebody's coming to stay at my house. Sweep into a box, go stick it in the corner and hide it. So now it's time to go back and dig out that box and go through the mail. And it's any kind of a stash that got happened for a party or for a visit is a great project, because, oh my gosh, it's so old. It's going to be old. It's going to be well marinated at this point. It is not going to be fresh. So it's going to be bills you've already handled, or if you forgot to handle them that need to be handled. It's going to be events that have already taken place. It's going to be grocery circulars that are already stale. 99% of that old mail pile that you have stuck in your closet somewhere is going to be recycling now. And you'll find the one thing that you've been looking for months, and then that'll be the end of it. So old paper is fast paper to sort, and it's an easy job to get rid of because everything is so dated. And so dig it out, fish it out, get rid of that box. If you haven't already done that this week, you might want to look at the cabinets under the sink in the kitchens and the bathrooms. These are kind of mini junk drawers for some reason. They're not very big, and they can usually be tidied pretty quickly. We tend to sort of shove things in, cleaning products, in a hurry down there, and you kind of have to bend over to get into it. And so it's not usually an easy access cabinet. It's easy to fill it up quickly because there's not that much space. So it kind of looks jumbled in a hurry. So pull everything out, make some decisions about what should be there, and remove the rest. And what doesn't go back in either needs a new home in the house, or it needs to be added to your donation bag, or thrown out if it's something that you tried and you didn't like, or it's not worth you trying to keep track of. There are specialty containers that are designed to fit around the plumbing under a sink in a kitchen or a bathroom where there's plumbing underneath there. And so there's little shelving things and drawers that are designed to fit around that plumbing. If you need to have some stackable containers with drawers in there to help you manage the stuff. Otherwise, I would just put down some kind of container so that whatever chemicals you're putting in there, they don't drip, ooze, rust, cause problems on the cabinet floor. It'll eat the paint away. Most of those chemicals are pretty caustic and they will cause problems in your cabinet if they tend to dribble or drool onto the floor of the cabinet. So just insert some kind of container in between so that they can drip into something that can be taken out and washed and put back occasionally.
Connie had a good comment about putting locks on the cabinets. If you have those chemicals, if you have kids or pets, because they will get into those.
Right, because it's easy grab and, oh, look, I opened the door, Mom. Yes, that is a very good point. Especially if you have little grandkids, right?
So a little bit on the chat about batteries and like where to take batteries. I think some people the Europe market are saying that places have recycle bins for batteries. I don't know if we have a lot of places like that here. You know, your Best Buys, that kind of place that you can recycle certain electronics, but it's not sort of on every corner.
No, and all of the fancy batteries are the ones that have to go, basically, according to the Houston city rules, you're supposed to take them to Environmental Service Center where they recycle chemicals. And so they have to, the fancy ones go there. They do say that it's okay for regular batteries, alkaline batteries, to be tossed in the trash now. But it's all of the other kinds and the names of which are escaping me right now. But there's some other kinds of batteries that aren't just regular household batteries. That
like lithium ion batteries.
Thank you. Yes. And there's one with an N.
NICAD.
Yes, thank you. That one too. Those are all kinds that have to be disposed of properly. And so we have to take them to Environmental Service Center here. And it might be that Best Buy takes some, but I'm not sure about that. Oh, Linda in Pennsylvania says Home Depot accepts some batteries. Yeah. And they have specifics on their website. That's good. Right? All right. I need to check that out and see what Home Depot says, because that's a great resource, because everybody has Home Depot somewhere nearby, right?
Ellen's talking about Batteries Plus, which we do have some of those here in Houston, that take batteries, like I guess bulk, she said, for $1 a pound.
Cool. Well, I mean, batteries weigh a lot. So, but if you have a bunch of batteries waiting to dispose of, it might be a quick way to get rid of one. In Florida, Lynn in Florida says, my city picks up used batteries on the first pickup of the month. That's cool. Yeah, I wouldn't put them, we're not allowed to put them in the junk pickup because it's considered toxic chemical. But Batteries Plus is a great resource too. I need to look that one up and see what they say about what all they will take. That's awesome. Okay, let's move on to the busy laundry room. A busy laundry room collects all kinds of detritus. Over a season or two, you'll find a bunch of oozing liquids on surfaces and half-empty bottles of products. There's going to be dryer lint balls all sort of flying around in the room and stuff from emptying pockets. Now's the perfect time to clear off the top of the washer and the dryer, clear out anything in the room that doesn't belong there, and clean off everything in the room, because it definitely needs it. I don't know that people ever think about cleaning off the washing machine, but when you open the lid or open the door, there's like the edges where sort of dirt and fuzz accumulates. This where you put in the soap sometimes gets dusty and dirty. On top, for some reason, I guess because people they pour laundry soap and then they set the bottle down and put the lid on, but there's always a dribble from the laundry soap unless you're super careful about that. And so that dribble ends up leaving sort of a stickiness on an oozy stickiness on top of the washing machine that, by definition, it's soap. So you ought to be able to wet something and wipe it down and make all that go away. And it just needs to be, it just needs to be wiped down like anything else. Get out your wet rag and wipe it down and try to get rid of some of the accumulated grit and dirt and dust and fuzz that's in there. And same with the dryer. It always needs a wipe off the top. And for some reason, I guess because most of the dryers are front loading, it's another horizontal surface, right? So it just ends up with laundry room related stuff. But it's a parking space for things you don't want to deal with now. So it's time to go through and see how much of that, do you have 3 bottles of the same thing going and they all are half full? Do you have products up there that you tried and you don't like? Are there things that just went up there and never got put away? now's the time to go and fluff that, reset that laundry room after, a whole season or two of using it without any attention. If you have kids in your house or grandkids that have clothes at your house, it's time to cycle out their clothes. So what's in the closet and the drawers, they probably can't wear all of it. And moms always know what doesn't fit. You always know what you've been trying to put on the kid. And it's like, no, it's too tight now. So head into their closets and pull out what can be sent to somebody that or donated to a charity. You can maybe box up some things that for a younger kid to wear later, but even if that's the case, there will be stuff that's ready to be boxed up now. So box up things that you're going to save for somebody else, pull out things that nobody can wear and are ready to donate. And it's time to send them on so that they can actually get used instead of deteriorating in your closet, waiting for the grandkids to come. That's, way too far down the line. They need to be released into the population now. Somebody mentioned this in the chat earlier while we were waiting to get started today. Have you cleaned the fridge lately? This is the perfect time to refresh the fridge contents and take out everything and clean off the shelves, check all the sauces and the condiment jars. Don't forget the door racks, all those little racks in the door that have stuff sitting in them. And then the ceiling strip along the door, like all the doors where you open, there's a ceiling strip and they collect grit. It's like the doors are closed. How do they get stuff in them? But they do. I don't understand it because you open the door, you close the door, and somehow there's grit in there and it managed to get there in the 30 seconds you had the door open. I don't understand, but it's a perfect thing to clean out. So pretend you're moving and you're going to move out, you're going to leave the fridge behind, and you have to clean this fridge for a new person. And that will give you an idea of how far to go in cleaning it. And you'll really love the fresh result. It's a perfect time for that. And especially somebody mentioned they had Easter dinner and their fridge was full. So it seems like that's the last big meal until Memorial Day. And so you've got some time to pull everything out and fluff it and clean it and redo. Now, if that feels like too big of a project, then you can do it a shelf at a time. Like you have 3 shelves in the fridge, stop and deal with everything on one shelf and clean that thoroughly and call it a day and come back the next day. You can have the things in the door be one of the days where you do everything in the door. You can usually take the shelves out of the door and clean them separately. And you may or may not be able to pop out the shelf inside the fridge and clean it. But if not, just make sure that you're cleaning around it. And if it lifts up and has any kind of lip that things would dribble and drool under, you can lift that up and clean that as well. Everything in there is in there until it dies and then you throw it out. And so there's going to be bacteria and stuff in there. So you need to go in occasionally and clean it out so that it's not just complete toxic soup in your refrigerator. It might be worth the effort. And won't you be so impressed with yourself when it's all clean again, just like when you had a brand new fridge. Spring cleaning is a perfect time to dump out your purse, your wallet, just dump it out and start over. Like go back and rebuild the contents, go through everything, find all those receipts and the dead tissues and the dead medicine and the old candies and blah, 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 all those things. There's a million receipts in there, things that you were going to return that have long since gone out of date, old coupons, what they're like. There's a woman's purse in particular. There is a whole cross section of your life in that purse right now. And so it is a perfect time to go in and dig it out and refresh it. And maybe you want to change the purse out so that you're carrying something that's more spring color, summer colored. Now's the time to flip it. You're going to find all those missing lipsticks. And you probably need to go put some of those away and, include them in your makeup sort that you're going to do when you go to do your makeup. So now's the time to get into your purse. I had to do it because my purse was falling apart. I had to finally change. And it was amazing how much, my purse is always organized and there was still stuff in there that was like, oh yeah, I put this in here, but I never used it. I need to get it out of there. There were still things to let go of. So dig it out, make your purse be lightweight. And remember that the doctor that talks to you about your bad back, your bad knee, the first thing they're going to tell you is how heavy is your purse. And you should stop carrying that 10-pound weight around with you. So do it with the idea of lessening the load on your shoulder and your back so that it's easier to carry it. And you're being nice to yourself by making it lighter. And do you really need to have all those options in your purse? And probably not. This is a yard related one. It's really the perfect time to check out your patio, the balcony or the deck or the porch, whatever outdoor space you have. It's time to fluff those spaces. Then extreme weather, whether it's extreme heat in the summer or extreme cold in the winter, it's going to make all kinds of things out there be brittle and fade and lose all their color. So it's time to refresh what's old and breaking down with a new container, a new piece of furniture, a new cushion, whatever you need to replace. You can repot some plants, wash them all off, give them a good trim and feed them. Check out the furniture and make sure it's still safe to use. Some of that plastic stuff that sits out there after several seasons in the summer heat in Houston, I beware sitting on them because they will break under the weight after they become so brittle. I have been in some chairs where, yeah, this chair is making me nervous, and I once stood on a plastic chair in someone's house in order to do something outside, and the chair just fell apart and under my standing on it. It was like, oh no, this is too much for us. We give up, and it just collapsed. So, it's one of the things that happens to stuff outdoors. It is weathered by being exposed to the outside. So time to go and check it all out, make sure it's in good shape and safe, and remove things that don't really belong in the porch. You may have shoved some things out there just for the fun of it or to get rid of it in the moment. And so now it's time to go back and find out, is everything out here something that I want? Has it gotten too old? Is it something that I can bring in and wash and put back, that kind of stuff? So go and clean it up. And, pollen season has been here. And so it might be that you need to hose it down to get rid of some of the pollen dust on things. So all those things are perfect things to do right now before it gets too hot and too miserable out there. Okay, so the last one I'm going to talk about, and then we're going to take some questions. It's time to reset the coffee table and the end table in the public spaces. I'm thinking of the living room or the den, or maybe there's a shared spare room, like a media room or something where people go and hang out to watch TV, look at stuff, read, whatever. The coffee table and the end tables represents horizontal surfaces that catch a lot of junk as you sit down on the couch, or maybe you walk through the room on the way somewhere else and like here, I can sit this down here and keep going. And so there tends to be a bunch of trash in there and a lot of things that need to go back where they belong. So dig those tables out, those end tables, coffee table. If they have drawers, open the drawers and refreshen those. And you want to do that to freshen up your public spaces. It's going to be one of the things that is easy on the spring cleaning list. It's small, but it is, which makes it a shorter project. It makes it easier to process. So dig in there and clean them out and make your living room, den, media room ready to receive visitors again. If everybody's been running around with nothing to do for the winter, they're going to start coming over to your house trying to hang out with you. So you want it to look nice for them. So that's our list. Take any of these that we talked about and try them on a lovely day when it's outside and see if you can jumpstart your spring cleaning.
Steve was asking sort of, for tips and tricks on, how to get motivated and do stuff. And people were chiming in with, cool. Setting a timer, pretend that you have guests coming over, or you're moving, or you're getting ready to sell your house. Right? I'm fascinated by all the tricks.
Right. There's a lot of them.
Let's see. Tammy's got her hand up.
Okay, Tammy, unmute yourself. Tell me what's going on.
Thanks. Hi, Gayle. Thanks so much. So you remember the desk and all those papers that were there? Now they're in folders, and this is like income or taxes. This is medical, and this is, I forgot. But anyway, now they're on in color folders. And then these are big, like the insurance bucket, and then my apartments and old housing papers. And I put a lot of my artwork up to get it out,
I see. So you can look at it. That's awesome.
Yeah. I decorated.
Oh, I see it over there. Yeah. Oh my gosh, look at all that. That's awesome.
So this is progressing.
That's great.
But wait, not yet. Don't celebrate yet. Okay. I still have this mess to go through in here, and I'm just like feeling stressed about even
Okay, I
open
can't see
it.
the mess. I see it. Oh, it's a file cabinet. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Receipt. And I want to get these things combined with the other things.
Yes, ma'am.
Here's some empty, I was thinking about maybe doing binders for some of them. Those are empty envelopes. That's.
Are you trying to get rid of the file cabinet altogether?
Well, I might repurpose it. Like somebody had suggested last year for artwork or something, supplies
Yeah.
or some other kind of thing, but this doesn't work for my ADHD. Once I put it in here, it's gone.
Right.
And
exactly.
I can't tell that this system, I need to see it more like stacked on the shelf or something. But
Okay.
I was thinking the binder, if I label them and put the big, some of the things that can go and buy, I don't know. I'm just kind of like,
Yeah, that works. Well, and the thing about the file cabinet is I know it looks big and challenging, but really it's just 4 different drawers. So if you think of each drawer as a box, you're just doing a box at a time. So don't
Right.
worry about doing the whole thing. Just
Right.
do half of a box. Pull the drawer
Okay.
out, pull the front half out and process that in, and then
okay.
call it a day. Like you don't have to do that whole file cabinet in one sitting. And
Right.
you don't even have to do it in 2 sittings. Like you can do it in 4 or 8 sittings.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
Oh yeah.
right.
Break it down. Okay.
Yeah. Just take half of it out and sit it on the table that you're going to work on and do your thing and merge it in. And then when you cleared off what you pulled out, like that's your win for the day. We're going to do a happy dance. Yay, yay, yay. I made it happen, right?
Yeah.
And
I'm
then call it
excited.
done.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I like that. I'm going to get them combined with the other things because I want to combine everything. That's like phone cord clutter. I was asking about labels. I got some good ideas to label the cord, all different phone and iPad cords and stuff.
Right.
So those are supplies. I just can't find my label maker. But anyway.
It'll appear.
Yes. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
I like my artwork on the wall. It looks like bright and cheerful.
Right. It's very cheerful. That's awesome. It's very colorful. Good for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
Okay. Thanks.
Good report. Tammy's been working on her paper for a long time, so she's making good headway. She had to move in the middle. So she was in the middle of the paper project when she had to move. And so now she's on the back end of moving. And now she's trying to finish her paper. So she's doing good. I know all of you guys can relate to working on the paper. I love it. Em said that she handled the coffee table problem by getting rid of the coffee table. Oh, and Connie says I have to hold up my signs. Okay, I can hold up my signs. I will tell you that the weekly Tittle today is really going to be about working on spring cleaning. So I just want you to pick a few of the spring cleaning suggestions that I made and see if you can't execute them. See if you can't come back and say, hey, I cleared out the fridge, or I spent 3 hours working in the closet floor, or I went and did things on the patio. So do your best to pick a few and go see if you can make them happen this week, and then come back and tell us about it. So how you get notifications is you join the meetup group. And the meetup group allows us to send you emails specifically about the Clutter Fairy Weekly. And so he sends out the notices about the meetings that are upcoming. So you know what's happening, what the topics are. You can follow us on Facebook, of course, clutterfairyhouston.com, cfhou.com/Facebook. Get you to the Clutter Fairy Facebook page. You can subscribe to our email list. He also sends out an email that says, hey, here's what we did. Now the video's up. Here's the topics that come in next week. So he keeps you up to date on what's happening with the Clutter Fairy Weekly with our subscription. So to our email list, cfhou.com/subscribe. You can always find us on Clutter Fairy Houston, clutterfairyhouston.com. There's plenty of stuff out there, and all the events for every week are out there to be found as well. Anybody else have any questions for the day?
Anne's got some questions about categories for filing cabinets.
Okay, where is that?
Like medical, doctor, bills, utilities.
So you have to think of those categories, and this is where we have that big bucket conversation about what's a big bucket for you. It seems like medical results, medical reports is one of the buckets that you want to have, and how fancy or detailed you make that bucket will depend on how many things you're trying to manage with your health. If you're relatively healthy and you don't go to the doctors a huge amount and you haven't had a bunch of surgeries, then, one medical result file will probably be fine. If you're one of those people that's had a history of having to get a lot of things done, spending a lot of time in hospitals, you may want a medical bucket that has a few files in it, like surgery from 2020, surgery from 2019, surgery from, that kind of stuff. You may want to break it down a little bit. But generally, most people have some kind of medical reporting, and one bucket for that is fine. The expenses related to medical, not the same thing. And those bills are either going to be part of your tax support because you have enough to deduct, although that's getting harder and harder to do. But if you have a catastrophic medical event where there's a whole bunch of money going out, a whole bunch of your cash flow is leaving, in that year, you'll probably be able to deduct it. And so having those receipts, those medical bills will support your medical expense deduction. Yeah, I mean, you can call them medical. I wouldn't call it just doctors, because there's going to be labs and hospitals and all kinds of other stuff. Health is one. If you also collect information for wellness as well as illness. And so you might want to make a separation between what is you pursuing wellness and what is you getting illnesses treated. So those might be two separate buckets to have. Utilities is kind of a narrow bucket, because it only applies to a little bit. Bills might be the better one. And then Ann says type of doctors. Again, it depends on how much medical intervention you're having to deal with in your life. Some people have a whole lot going on and they're dealing with a whole lot of people and they're spending a whole lot of money and they're going to, so if your situation requires that, you may need you may need a little bit more in terms of files related to that. Me, I don't have to go very often. I don't have a lot going on. I'm not being treated for anything chronic. I haven't, knock on wood, I haven't broken anything. I haven't had any surgeries in a long time. And so for me, it's just sort of my regular maintenance kind of stuff that's happening. Oh, I got my boob smashed. Oh, I went and had a colonoscopy. Oh, that kind of stuff. I went for my checkup or whatever. And so one file for me is plenty, but other people have more going on. And so they may need more space. Yeah. And, if you're seeing a lot of doctors, you have something chronic, then you might need something that's portable to go back and forth to see doctors. You might be taking things to show Dr. A that Dr. B asked for, blah, blah, blah. So you may have to carry some things around. And then, she says she archives it after 2 years. Good for you. That's a great thing to do. Old information doesn't help a doctor much, other than when did you have that surgery? Oh yeah, that was in 1987. But otherwise, that's they always want fresh blood work. They always want fresh test results. So yeah, after it's older, they're not going to care so much anymore. Okay, you guys, it's 1:15. I'm going to assume that we're all happy for the moment. And thank you so much for coming and being with us today. I'm sorry that we had to scramble, but I appreciate that you guys were nimble and you adjusted and you went and got the new Zoom link and it all worked out. So thank you so much for doing that. We really, really appreciate it. Y'all are so great to us and you just totally roll with whatever we got going on. So thank you. Thank you. My big thanks to Karen, who kept my head from exploding, pinch hitting and coming in and being the back action person. I really, really appreciate it, Karen. I'm the only person in the world that has a friend that can go, hey, could you get on the Zoom with me today? And she can go, sure, I can do that. And it doesn't freak her out. So I really appreciate that you do that for me. Thank you so much.
Very welcome.
That's what I get for being friends with you for 15 years, right?
Right. Comes with some perks.
Comes with some perks. Thank you so much. Okay, everybody. Love you guys all, and we'll see you later.